Best car, SUV, or truck? Guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Hello and welcome to the Frontier Motor Show. My name is Iven Streckel, and this is the Frontier Motor Show. We've been doing the show going on 23 years now, and we're bringing this to you live from downtown Pensacola at the Co-Works Annex. For the next half hour, we're going to talk about what's going on in the car business, and a little bit what's going on at Frontier Motors, and perhaps when you are in the market for a car, why you might stop in or give us a call, even if it's just for some free advice. First things first, we'll talk about the news of what's going on in the auto industry. And Ford is announcing an electric Mustang. I've seen pictures of it, and I am not sure if I like it or not. It looks like a Ford Mustang hatchback. But Ford is scheduled to reveal it last week. They revealed it. That's where we got pictures. It's going to be a 2021 model. It's called a Mustang Mach-E. And it's a battery-powered electric crossover with a range of approximately 300 miles, which, by the way, isn't that bad. The best Lexus out there is a 370 range, and that is the long-range Lexus. So the averaging between 200 and 300 is pretty good. It's the first utility vehicle to carry the iconic pony car badge, and the nameplate is a play on the performance-oriented Mach 1 moniker. It will be Ford's best handling vehicle, is what they're saying, and the boasts driving specs comparable to those of a Porsche. So they're really pumped up on it. And also, they're introducing a new type of ordering system for this car with a 500 refundable deposit. So if you're interested in one of these cars, but you're not really positive about it, you give them $500. If you don't like it, you can get your deposit back. So you can reserve a spot in line for a special first edition model. And so they're going to have a special edition, which is the first edition model, until that sells out. Ford said the Mach-E will go on sale across the United States all at once. So it's not going to go to California first, which a lot of these electric vehicles do. California sells almost 6% of their cars are electric vehicles, where nationwide it's 1.7%. And so you can see why they would have a tendency normally to throw them out to California first, because they sell better out there. It's going to be somewhere in the $40,000 to $50,000 range before the $7,500 federal tax credit. And Ford also has been preparing its dealer network to be able to work on this vehicle. And that's one of the problems that Tesla is having right now, is that they are selling a lot of vehicles. They just don't have a good enough of a service network, at least in my opinion, based on my experience of owning a couple of Teslas and having some issues with them. The service is yet to be rated what I would say positive. And they're talking about right now, Ford has 9,500 trained electric vehicle technicians in 2,000 dealerships. They have about 4,000 dealerships, but not every dealership is going to be slated to be able to sell one of the electric vehicle as of yet. Same thing with, I don't know if you remember years ago, the Shelby, the Ford Shelby, the Mustang Shelby, not every Ford dealer was able to sell those cars. You had to pay a fee, and you had to be certified to be able to do that. I've got the Consumer Support Say here from September's edition, and it says that there are 10 more electric vehicles right around the corner, with 50 or so more slated within the next 3 years. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on with electric. But let me tell you what's new. Audi's got a new electric vehicle called the e-tron, and it's about $75,000. It has a range of 204 miles. I'm still trying to, in my head, figure out, even though Audi's a great vehicle, I love Audi, and I'm so happy to announce, which this might not be new to everybody, but if you've just moved in the area, we never used to have an Audi dealership. Well, a year and a half ago, we got a new Audi dealership over in Car City. It's a Pensacola Audi. It's owned by the Sonic Group, and they do a great job, and they're going to be selling this car. I did read that this car has been out for about 6 months. The sales aren't very good right now because of the price range. They were hoping to be in the 50 to 60 range. It's about $75,000, which, well, you can buy a lot of nice vehicles for $75,000. Kia's got two electric vehicles coming out. The Soul electric vehicle is around $36,000. You can buy a Kia Soul for $18,000 in a gas model, but electric is going to cost you $36,000. It's got a range of 240 miles. Kia also has the Niro electric vehicle, N-I-R-O, Niro, and it's $38,000 with a 230-mile range. Mercedes coming out with a couple of them. They have an EQC, and that's their first luxury electric vehicle, and it's $75,000, same price as the Audi, a range of 200 miles. I don't want to bore you to death here, but what I'm trying to figure out, folks, is that why are all these electric vehicles coming to market and hardly anybody wants one? We sell between 150 to 250 cars every single month. I have sold maybe 3 electric vehicles in the last 5 years. And we can sell what we buy whatever a customer wants. We have a great locate service that if you're looking for a specific car, we can find it for you. Just in our area, in the Southeast, just in our area, every single week there's between 25 and 30,000 cars available to dealers in our area. That's a lot of cars. So we do a really good locate business where you can come in. If you want an electric vehicle, I'll sit down, we'll spec it out. I'll tell you how much you can save on one that might be 6 months old or 12 months old. How much is the depreciation on that particular car? And I can normally save you thousands. I'm sure an electric vehicle would be a big savings because they really aren't selling. There's incentives on them, and I don't know what's going on. I don't hear of any more subsidies coming to cars, to electric vehicles. They have $7,500 for the first certain amount of sales. I think it used to be around 50,000 sales. After that, that phases out. For example, the Prius used to have that years ago. And when you buy a brand new Prius right now, there are no subsidies from the government for buying. Of course, that's a hybrid, not electric. So I think electric still has the corner on that market. I know that Tesla doesn't have the subvented government money anymore because they hit their goal last year or the year before. So I'm trying to figure out where is this demand because there's none at Frontier Motors. And we sell a lot of cars. We're not a small car dealership. There's about 85 used car dealerships in Pensacola. We are the #1 seller. So I got a pretty good indication of what's hot and what's not. Electric vehicles are not hot. One of the other reasons they're not hot is because of their range, 200 miles, 300 miles. That's not enough. You know, I've got family in Wisconsin. If I want to drive to Wisconsin, I'm going to have issues. The other thing is there are not enough charging stations. And where there are charging stations, you don't know if they have the plugs to fit your car. The government has not streamlined or mandated that the plug be the same for every electric vehicle. And there are more and more of them coming out on the market, and there are different types of plugs to be able to get your car charged up. So it's a big problem. I know one of the magazines I just read that California is going to have 100,000 more charging stations within the next 5 years. But again, you still have the problem with the plug when you drive to that charging station. Does it work or doesn't it? I've had other customers come in and they ask me, what do you think about Carvana? Everybody's heard of Carvana. I don't know if you've seen the commercials. They're in a lot of the major markets. I think the last time I looked, they had about 20 major markets. And you know, they build these kiosks where you hit a button. I don't know if you've seen them. They look absolutely gorgeous. I'm still trying to figure out how they're paying for these $1 million kiosks where you hit a button, you actually have these cars going around a conveyor coming down, and there's my car right there. So you can go to Carvana and you can pick up your car, or they'll send it to your doorstep. I was asked about by a customer the other day, what do I think about Carvana? And I don't think I don't want to bash them. But you should know what you're getting into when you're buying the car. Number one, obviously, you're buying a car without test driving it. Now, to combat that, they come back with a 7-day money-back guarantee. And I read the guarantee this morning because I was kind of wondering about what the stipulations were, and they're really not that bad. You can put up to 400 miles on the car. If you put 401 miles on, you don't get your money back. So that's not bad. You've got 7 days. If it's 7 days and 1 minute, you're done. But you got 7 days to find out if you like the car or not, you want your money back. The one thing I didn't really care for now, if you put more than 400 miles on it, it's $1 per mile. So if you put 500 miles on it, you know, you're gonna have to pay them, you know, $100 extra, which is not that big of a deal. So that's not bad. But I did notice in the fine print that Obviously, the car can't be damaged, modified, or altered. If you smash up the car, they're not going to give you your money back. If you alter it, put wheels and tires on it, they're not going to pay for that, which is normal. They did say that they cannot accept return of the car if it has a lien on it, other than their lien, which I thought was very interesting. So if you go to Navy Fed or if you go to any of your own banks to do business with, you don't have that 7-day guarantee, which means basically if you're financing it not through them, because one of the ways they make their money is they have their own finance source. And a lot of places like CarMax and AutoNation, they have their own finance sources. And a lot of times they make more money on the financing than they make on the car. So the car might be a good deal, but the financing isn't. And obviously you can finance wherever you want, but you don't get the 7-day guarantee unless you pay cash or finance through them, which I thought that was kind of interesting. I would say that out of 200 car sales every month, we probably have about 30% of our customers that pay cash. In other words, just write a check for the car with no lien. The other 70%, I would say about 50% of them finance through us, and only 20% finance through their own source. One reason a lot of people finance through us, even though they walk in thinking they're going to finance through their own bank, is because they're sometimes surprised how we can actually beat their bank that they might have been doing business with 10 or 20 years, because we have got sources that specialize in car financing. So therefore, they've got a cut rate, and people normally have been taught that if you finance it through a dealership, they jack up the interest rate. Well, that's not true. We still make money on financing, but we get a set fee just to do the paperwork. So we're more than competitive with your source. And most people will say, well, if I can finance through the dealership, sign up right there and go home, that's a lot easier than going to my bank, filling out a credit application, going back the next day, having to pick up the check, sign more paperwork, and then going to the dealer. So we make it a lot simpler and we can save you money. So it's really interesting with the Carvana concept. Now they do have one price selling. I noticed this morning when I went on their website, they had 22,000 cars at all of their locations. And by the way, the return policy has to be if you're limited to their location, or you don't. If you're out of the area, they're going to charge you an extra fee for that. But it's not a bad concept. I like the 7-day guarantee as long as you're paying cash, which means basically you can test drive a car for 7 days. Of course, you got to pay for it. You got to write a check or pay cash for it. And if you don't like it, you get your money back. So it's not a bad deal. It's one price selling, which I kind of like because it makes it my job easier, that if I have a car and I'm competing with Carvana, all I have to do is beat their price, or have a car that is the same price, but maybe has lower miles, maybe is in better condition, or perhaps has more equipment on it, especially the safety equipment. It seems like everybody these days is talking about safety, which they never did years ago. I used to joke at customers when they're buying cars for their high school kid, and they never asked me if the car's got side airbags or anti-lock brakes. They just want a cool car for the kid. Well, nowadays, people are more educated, and especially with the problems that we have with car phones and distractions, safety to me is a big selling factor right now. And we actually sell a lot of cars to customers that come in to upgrade their car, which has nothing wrong with it, just to get the latest and greatest safety features. And especially the one that I really love the most, other than blind spot, which most cars have these days, which is interesting because I drive an Acura NSX. If you don't know what that is, that's Acura sport car, and it's brand new. It's a $160,000 car. Of course, I've got a really good deal on one with 2,000 miles on it, or else I wouldn't have bought it. And it doesn't have blind spot, which I thought was kind of interesting. And believe me, it could use it because there are blind spots in that car. It's like a little Lamborghini if you've never seen one. Kind of a cool, fun car to drive. And by the way, it's for sale at Frontier Motors. I believe we have it on the internet for $133,000, and that's a whole different subject when we talk about the depreciation, because last year was the first year that I saw Consumers Reports finally put in writing what I've been talking about for 23 years, and that is used car depreciation. But how much is it? It's always a question mark. Well, how much do you save when you're buying a car that's used? And according to Consumers Reports, last year the average new car was approximately $36,000 $100,000. The average depreciation in the first year alone was 27%. If you multiply that out, that comes out to about $9,200 the first year alone. Let's take a look at that NSX Acura that I was just talking about. $162,000 window sticker. Car has 2,000 miles on it. And by the way, they don't discount the car. If it's 162, you pay 162. I've got that car with 2,000 miles on it for 133. That's crazy. Now, folks, I know that's a lot of money. That's way more than most people spend on a car. Obviously, the average is 36. But if you're going to buy one of these cars and you're going to buy one brand new, wouldn't you want to save $33,000 or $32,000 on a car and only have 2,000 miles on it? That's like brand new. And I've got examples and examples of that. Matter of fact, if I was to say, what do we specialize in at Frontier Motors with 422 cars on the lot as of this morning? I would say we specialize in the alternative to new. Now, folks, we also sell lots of cars under $10,000. I had a customer call me a while back saying, well, you don't have anything cheap for my kid, but if you ever get anything, call me. We get a lot of inexpensive cars. We buy them from private individuals because we advertise we buy cars from private individuals because that way I can get the car inspected. I don't buy those older cars at the auction because you have to sell them as is. I won't buy a car as is. And we also take a lot of them in trade so I can test drive and get them inspected first. So we do have a lot of cars under $10,000, normally about 50 to 60 cars under $10,000, some even in that $5,000 to $6,000 price range. But we specialize in cars that are a half a year old to 1.5 year old, that are still under factory warranty, that are going to save you thousands and thousands and thousands. The Consumers Report actually put a grid in there that says that after the second year, you lose $12,500 on that $36,000 car, which is 37%. After 3 years, it's $15,600. And after 4 years, you lose 56% of the value. So if you're looking for a car, why not buy a 1, 2, 3, or 4-year-old car and save yourself up to, now don't give me 56%. You won't save 56% because I've got to make some money on it. I can buy that car 56% less, and maybe you can buy it for 50% less, so I can still make some money. It's all about staying in business. As a business person, I always tell customers, I've got to make a profit, but I don't have to rip you off. So we have very fair pricing on our cars. I've had customers come in. It happened the other day where a customer came in and said, well, your car is $1,700 more than the car I found down the road in Car City. So I looked at their car. The nice thing with the internet these days, I can just pull up the competition's car, and I found out, number one, that it had been in a moderate accident, which is a little scary because you don't know how bad it was. What's moderate mean? 5,000 or 25,000? I guess it depends on the price of the car you're looking at. So that was one little kink against it. The other thing was, even though the miles were the same, when I ran the original window sticker of both cars, my car was about $3,000 more expensive. In other words, it had $3,000 more equipment on it. So when I rattled off the equipment list, the customer wanted that equipment list. I was able to sell the car, and even though I was more expensive, the customer could see the value in the car. Mine was a one owner with no accident and had a lot more features on it. So they could justify paying a little bit more. So don't always look at the price. The biggest thing that is a factor when you are looking at cars is condition. You know, in the real estate business, always location. In cars, it's condition. When I buy a car at the auction, they rate the cars from 0 to 5. Don't ask me why they don't rate them from 0 to 10 like most people, but they rate it from 0 to 5. If the car is not a 4.2 or above, I don't even look at the car, which means that I only buy cars that are like new, even though they're used cars. No scratches, no dings, no accidents, non-smoker, no need of tire replacement. I don't buy cars that I've got to fix up. A lot of dealerships I see go to the auctions on purpose to buy a rated 2 or 3 car because that car is quite a bit less expensive. And then they try to fix the cars up when they come there and have the best prices cars. And that's what you see. But most people can look through that, and I don't mess with those cars. If the car is not like a new car, you won't see it on a lot. Folks, the only way you're going to know is to come to Frontier Motors at 230 Beverly Parkway or take a look. Go on our website, just Google Frontier Motors. You're going to see 31 detailed photographs of those cars. And I had a customer the other day compliment us when they came in to look at the cars because every one of our 422 cars are unlocked every morning. Now, why do we do that? Why is that a big deal? I think it's a big deal because if you come on your lunch hour, for example, or any hour, and you want to get in and get out, because maybe you've taken the day off to go car shop and you want to hit 4 or 5 different dealerships. Well, at Frontier Motors, you don't have to spend hours and hours there. A lot of car dealerships lock their cars and keep them locked on purpose. So you spend hours there, which makes you feel obligated to not only the dealership, but also that poor salesman that's running back and forth getting the keys so you could test drive or at least sit in the car. We unlock every car every morning. So if you want to look at 5 to 10 or 20 vehicles, you don't have to have a salesman get a key for every one. The other thing is, immediately you can test drive the vehicle, and we also have a price list that looks like this that we can share with you. So you know exactly what the NADA book price is, which was what the banks use, and what our selling price is on the car. And if there's any negotiating to be done, we don't take you in a back room and go back and forth for hours. The salesman goes to the manager and said, I got a customer looking at this car. They want to know if that's the best deal or can you do any better? And within minutes, what we're going to do is what most dealerships don't do, and that is give you an out-the-door price in writing. The reason, folks, that's very important is because of trade-in values. I had a customer, and this was yesterday actually, and they were trading in a vehicle. It was a pickup truck, and they said that dealer, we gave them, let's say it was $20,000. They said, well, the dealer down the road is giving me $23,000 for my car. Folks, don't be bamboozled by this. Why would we be $3,000 less than the dealer down the road when we're the largest dealer selling used cars in Pensacola? The reason is because they had inflated the price of their car so far that they could show them because they knew this customer was only interested in their trade-in. And that's why I cry foul. The only thing that's important, folks, is not what you get for the trade-in, not what they're asking for the car, not even what their ridiculous handling fees are. The only thing that's important is what do you got to write that check for? And take that in consideration. What is the total? Even if you're financing, it doesn't matter whether you're financing or paying cash, doesn't it? It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the bottom line. Whether you go to your finance, if the bottom line is $22,500, for example, including everything, whether you write a check for $22,500 or go to your bank and have them cut you a check for $22,500, that's still the bottom line, whether you're financing or paying cash. So once you know that bottom line, isn't it easier to compare? Especially when I can pull out the window sticker for any new car out there. So you can compare the original window sticker when it was brand new. All used cars are a little bit different. Maybe our car's got 15,000 miles. The car you're looking at got 18,000. Maybe our car's got a light color interior and the other one's black. Maybe you like the color better. There's other things that are, but let's say everything's the same. Now it falls on the bottom line price. And that's what's important. When we were able to show the customer that our car had almost half the amount of miles on it, our car was 2 years newer, which originally, by the way, the customer didn't tell me that. I got on the website and found the car and found out that we were selling a 19 model and they were looking at a 17. And they had their car priced at the same price that our 19 was, and that's why they could allow them more money for the trade-in, but our bottom line was just about the same. But our car was 2 years newer with less miles. So again, get the bottom line when you go car shopping. Forget about the dealer fees. You know, dealers charge a dock fee, a get-ready fee, a transportation fee, a return fee, tire tax, all kinds of taxes. So I try not to get flustered on when a dealer charges $1,000 for what we charge $398 for. But what I get mad about is when they don't tell you, when they don't include it in that bottom line price. And also make sure the bottom line price includes the license plate fee. If you need to buy a new license plate, it can be between $400 and $500 total. If you transfer, it's somewhere between $150 and $200. So make sure those fees are included. I also bring with us one of our friends that does a commercial for us. His name is Dave Ramsey, and he talks a little bit about what I've been talking about for the last 23 years, but he says it in 60 seconds. With me, it takes me a half an hour to say the same thing. Let's take a look and see what Dave's got to say.
Hey, Pensacola, Dave Ramsey here. Thinking of buying a brand new car? Well, that's a big mistake. Last year, the average new car was $36,000, and the first year depreciation was 27%. That equates to a whopping $9,200. Go to the dealer that specializes in low-mileage, one-year-old cars and trucks, my friends at Frontier Motors. They're a used car dealer that I'm proud to recommend. Frontier will save you money over the price of a new car and make the usually dreaded car buying experience a whole lot more enjoyable. They've been serving the Pensacola community for 23 years, and they do much more than just sell cars. Replacement value, diminished value after an accident, Carfax reports, appraisals, help with paperwork for private transactions. They will do it all at no charge. Visit them online at frontiermotorsinc.com or stop by their lot on Beverly Parkway. When you're there, don't forget to tell them Dave sent you.
You know, one of the things that we talked about before was Carvana, and I read on Carvana's website, that's where I got this information before. I read on some of the testimonials, and the biggest thing that they talk about the testimonials that people say is that it was a pleasant and carefree and easy experience. So why would somebody buy a car they can't see? Well, one reason is because they don't want to deal with salesmen. They don't want to deal with pushy managers. They don't want to deal with the old, will you buy it right now if I do this? And at Frontier Motors, we've been this successful because we don't do that. We figured out a way to be able to show you the car, be able to let you test drive it, be able to give you the figure and let you make that decision when you're ready. It's none of this, well, if I do this, will you buy it right now? We want you to buy a car when you're ready. We're always ready to take your order. And we're not really that good at salespeople. I always make a little bit of a joke that we really don't sell cars. People come to us and they buy cars from us. So we don't sell them. And the nice thing about being an independent dealership, folks, is that we don't care what you buy. You know, if you don't like Ford and you want a Chevy, fine with me. If you want to, you know, if you love Ford and you don't want a Chevy, I don't care. I've got Fords and Chevys. When you go to the Ford store, they're going to try to sell you Ford and tell you why it's the best ever. And the same thing with Chevy and Toyota. It doesn't matter what it is. We don't have to do that. You just pick out a car. You go for a test drive. We appraise your vehicle. We give you a bottom line price in writing. We give it to you. And then we say, hey, if you're not ready to make that decision, why don't you go shop? That's as hassle-free as it can get. The other thing we do, folks, also, Ryan just said that I've only got 2 minutes left, so I want to make sure that everybody out there knows that we are the dealer to go to when you are selling your car. We love buying cars from private individuals, number one, because you bring me the car. I don't have to go to the auction. Number two, because I can talk to you. I can find out the background of the car. I've got time to take it for a test drive, and I've got also the position I'm in, I can pay more than the wholesale value of the car if it's a car that we sell out on lot, which most cars are. Every once in a while, we had a customer the other day that had a car that we already had 5 of, so I told them I'll give you a really good consignment value, which means we sell it for you, and I couldn't give them a buy value at that point. But just about 90% of the cars out there, we will give you a buy figure within 15 minutes. 1 minute left, so check out our this show you can check out on YouTube, by the way. You can Google Frontier Motors if you want. If you have anybody who's in the market, tell them to watch Iven at Frontier Motors. The other thing is you can go to our Facebook page and you can like us on Facebook, and also we've got our inventory on there, and the show will be on Facebook. And you can go to just Google Frontier Motors, and you're going to see again our inventory, our staff, and how we do business, and what really separates us from the competition. Again, that's Frontier Motors, 230 Beverly Parkway. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead.